After a 10-year-long battle, a collection of taonga left on board Captain Cook's ship, the Endeavour, will be returned on loan to the Tairāwhiti region after 250 years. The taonga, which includes paddles, weapons and clothing, have been stored at museums in England and Germany. And as Te Aniwa Hurihanganui reports, it wasn't easy getting them back.
37 taonga, which once belonged to the people of Tairāwhiti and Te Aniwa Hurihanganui, have been stored at 5 different museums on the other side of the world for 250 years. In October, they'll return on loan to the Tairāwhiti Museum in Gisborne for the year-long Tu Te Whaihanga exhibition.
When we return them home to our Tairāwhiti Akiwa soil, it's a time for us to remember. It's a time for us to be able to grieve for our tipuna and our taonga that we've taken at the time of the first encounter. It's also a time for us to analyse and study the taonga.
Huia Pihema is the chairperson for Hei Kanohi, an iwi governance group which has negotiated with overseas museums to have the taonga returned for the last 10 years. She says the process wasn't easy.
It's very difficult to get taonga Māori to return home. The word repatriation is almost a swear word for a lot of those types of institutes. So did we ever think that we would be able to have the return of some of these taonga that were taken from the first encounter? No, we didn't. We had our fingers crossed until probably about 3 months ago when it was confirmed that we've got to all go.
The collection will also include belts, cloaks, carvings and adornments. But the Tairāwhiti Museum Director, Eloise Wallace, says she's particularly excited to see the return of 8 hoi.
One of the highlights for me will be to see 8 of the whai painted hoi or paddles, which were actually gifted and traded off Taonga on the 12th of October 1769. So it's going to be really exciting to reflect back on the legacy and the artistry of those taonga.
It's the first time Te Tairāwhiti has ever received a loan for taonga from an overseas institution. Ms Wallace says it will allow New Zealanders to go back in time.
It's been 250 years and they take us back to a world before Cook, before Europeans were even thought of. It makes me think about how amazing the society that lived here in the Tairāwhiti district was. They're real evidence and insight of life 250, 300 years ago.
The exhibition will begin just in time for the 250th anniversary of Captain Cook's arrival in Aotearoa. A fleet of waka and a replica of the Endeavour will voyage around New Zealand, starting in Gisborne, to mark the occasion. Ms Pihema says the exhibition will allow her people to tell their version of events when Cook arrived on their shores.
What's really big for us is probably looking to refresh a more balanced view, encouraging our whānau to be able to share the stories of actually what took place from mana whenua point of view. If you would consider that somebody might rock up to your whare, they didn't understand what you were doing in terms of greeting them, and so they turned around and shot you. It's like, what would you do about it, you know? So Tu Te Whaihanga is a really positive way to be able to help make that happen.
The Tairāwhiti Museum and local iwi are continuing to build relationships with overseas museums to have their taonga returned for longer periods of time. Ms Pihema says the ultimate goal is to have them returned for good. Mo te hōtaka o te ahi pōnei, ko Te Aniwa Hurihanganui, aho.